Have you ever been ghosted after a promising sales conversation or after quoting for a project? Then join us for part 2 of my conversation with sales expert Helen Tebay. Helen shares actionable strategies on turning those cold leads into hot sales. Catch it all on this episode of Architecture Business Club, the weekly podcast for solo and small firm architecture practice owners just like you who want to build a profitable, future-proof architecture business that fits around their life. I'm John Clayton, your host. If you're a small practice leader or sole practitioner in architecture, struggling to find clarity or reach your goals, consider working with me. I offer personalised one-to-one support through coaching, consulting and mentoring. This tailored approach helps you navigate your unique path to success. Whether it's growing your practice, working fewer hours, or building your team, I've got you covered. Just click the link in the show notes to book a call with me to discuss your options, or email John, that's Jon, at architecturebusinessclub.com for more information. Now let's continue the conversation with Helen about sales. Do you have any thoughts on when we do that outreach to people that we have engaged with already, or perhaps we've sent a fee proposal to, and maybe it's crickets, that if we feel like we're being ghosted? Do you have any thoughts on how to deal with that? Is it something where, are there any actions you would suggest that we could do if we feel like we're being ghosted by somebody?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, it's not personal. And second, it's usually what happens before. So sometimes people get very like, oh, well, that must be because of my price. That must be because they didn't like me. That must mean this. We simply don't know. And so we've got this gap and our brain's just doing its best job at filling in what it thinks the reasons why. It might be that, but we really need to have that conversation to find out what's going on. So for me, this happens because there's a step missing prior. So if we go back a step, when you're in your discussions, whether it's in someone's house or they're in your practice or you're on the phone or you're on a Teams call, you always get the next steps booked in on that call. So it might go like, okay, so you're going to need a fee proposal from us. It's going to take us a couple of days to figure that out, or a week. Just again, give your best guess. Some are going to be quick, some are going to be more complex. Just give your best guess of how long this is going to take. So that would take us to this date, and I would open my calendar up and I would ask them to do the same thing. So, okay, so that would take us to this kind of time. When are you free that week? And what we can do is we can go through the proposal together. Once you do that, I actually coached some architects on this. And once they started doing that, because they were so confident in their offer and so certain, and they made the process so slick and so easy, people were like, oh, I don't need the call. I just want to book. I just want to go ahead with you. So they started having these calls. They started getting better at troubleshooting. They started answering those questions in that initial call. So that's the ultimate thing, where you get we'd call it like a one call close, where everything is happening in one meeting or one call. The more you offer the second call and you get that firmed up and those firm next steps, and you get better at answering that, you'll probably plug that into that call, and eventually you'll just do it all in one go. But you always get that second call booked in. And it's not like, oh, in a couple of weeks. It's not vague. It's specific dates and times. And you send them an invite. Even if I was going to someone's house or I was ringing someone, I would invite and say, Helen ringing John on John's mobile, 10 o'clock on Friday. So it's very specific next steps. Once you've got that booked in, they're going to show up to it. If they don't, then it's either an unqualified lead, or there was something missing in the process or the conversation that made them not want to tell you that it was always going to be a no. So there's usually something that's just gone a little bit awry there with the connection with you guys. But that would be how I would solve for that, is that go the step before and get the follow-up booked in. If you've got a lot of people that are just hanging, go back and ask them a direct question. Don't fluff it up. Don't try and make this softer. Literally just ask them, is this something you're still considering, or have you moved away from this now? Just let me know either way. And it makes it really okay for them to tell you a no, because a lot of people ignore because they just don't want to say to someone's face it's a no. They don't know the reasons why it's a no. They don't know they're undecided and they need some help. They don't really want to say that they don't get it. So we've got to make it really okay for all of those scenarios to come out and float up.
There's a couple of great suggestions there. I have done that actually, that the thing of following up and booking in the next call. That is something that I've done over the last few years, and that does really work. And the way that I've kind of framed it is that, look, this is roughly how it's going to work. Following this call today, I'm going to firm all this up, put the proposal together, and I guarantee that after I send it, I'm sure that you're going to have some more questions that arise. Yeah. So to make it easier for you, to save you time, grab your diary, let's book in a follow-up call now so that you can make a decision, whether that's yes or no, but just so you can make a decision and it's fine either way. So I sort of gave them the reassurance to say, look, I don't mind whether it's a yes or no, but I know that you're going to have these questions. So let's save everybody time, book it in now. And then usually I would just say, look, typically 15, 20 minutes is enough because you might just have a few questions. Yeah. And then I've never had anybody that said no. Like people just say, yeah, that sounds fine.
Makes sense. And it's really helpful. It's actually really customer centric. It's really customer focused.
Yeah. And the other suggestion that you made there about the being a little bit more direct with that email for those people that maybe you miss that step of booking in the next call. Maybe you've got somebody that you emailed something to. Such a great idea to follow up with a direct email. I've tried something very similar, and the wording was similar to what you described. The direct version was kind of something like, because we haven't heard from you, we assume your priorities have changed.
Yeah.
Something like that. So it's sort of saying that, we're assuming you're not interested in doing this anymore. And then often either you don't hear anything or people will be like, reply straight away, oh, no, John, it's not that. It's just that, something else happened or we've had a change of circumstances. We still want to do it. We're still thinking about it. And it starts the conversation again.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
The other one that I've tried, which has been really effective, is it's a similar idea, but it's a slightly softer, more empathetic approach where literally if I've been sending them like follow-ups to say, we're waiting to hear from you. Do you want to go ahead? And we're not getting a reply. I'll just send them like a one-liner email and just say like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Because we've not heard from you. And actually we're just concerned that like, are you all right? And then that has worked as well, where people have replied and said, and actually sometimes it has been something like that where it's like, oh, we've had our family member passed away or someone's been ill or something. And we've really not had a chance to think about it. And they've appreciated that response.
Yeah, because again, it's really customer focused, isn't it? It's about them. It's thinking of them. It's putting your feelings of discomfort to one side. They might get angry. They might shout. They might say, just F off and leave me alone. Honestly, in 25 years of sales, I can count on one hand how many times that's happened. And when you think about each of those times, it's stuff that's happening for them. It's not you, and you just strike them off and you move on. I kind of think next opportunity, next thing. How many people out there need an architect right now? I mean, there must be hundreds and hundreds of thousands. If your community got their heads together, you still couldn't service between you all the opportunity that's out there. But when you're sitting there and the diary's a bit sparse and the phones stop ringing and the emails aren't coming, it's really hard to kind of think like that. So it's, just getting into that, the demand is there. Maybe that's a really good thought, like demand is there for my services. Maybe that's like something that just invigorates you a little bit.
Yeah, maybe you should print that out and stick it on your desk or something.
People need me, they need this result.
Yeah, I mean, are there any other thoughts that you have about how we can stay focused and stay in our lane, working towards our long-term goals when we're having those slow months?
Yeah. So for me, I always think of high impact, high action stuff, because what tends to happen is we'll go and like file out emails away or around over here with some like system. It's not going to change the diary. What we really need to be focusing on is conversations, offering, whether it's like I have a calendar link. How many times do I give that link out? How many times am I asking people to take that next step with me? Where am I showing up? What am I doing? How can I help my audience? So it's all like impactful stuff for the receiver or the audience. So when the temptation is to go and like clean the kitchen or do something, for me, I've got a flavour of cleaning. That's what happens when I get a bit angsty. But it's that's the thing. It's like, right, stop. I know why I'm doing that because it just feels easier somehow. But actually, I really want to get like, how could I be really impactful to my audience right now? I could jump on and do a live. I could jump on and talk about a client situation and how I've helped them. I could jump on and just share some insight about the process and how working with me would make it easier. I could share like a little visual of a timeline just to put someone at ease. I could show some before and afters. I could go out and when it's a nice day, take pictures of all my work, like that. I could go and do that, get a portfolio together. So there's all these kind of things. That's highly actionable stuff. Messing around with CRM systems, integration, tweaking the website, cleaning stuff, reorganizing the office.
Inbox sort out.
Yeah, it's not going to help you change the diary. It literally boils down to conversations, adding value, getting better at selling. That's it. That's like the evergreen work. If you're avoiding any one of them three things, would probably need a conversation or lean into me a little bit because I post a lot of content. There's a lot of stuff out there that, I get out there on my platforms that will help you, especially when you're in that kind of technical world. It feels like it's really hard to translate that technical isms to, the language that your audience use.
Got it. Yeah. So there's a lot of actionable stuff that we can do there.
Yeah.
And
Rick,
the message I'm taking from that is around being proactive, that if you're having a slow period and you don't have enough customers and you need more sales, that there is actually a ton of really actionable stuff that you've just mentioned that we can be doing in order to fix that problem and to plug that gap in our pipeline. Something else I wanted to ask was about understanding what our clients really value in order to help get those sales. Do you have any suggestions there about how we can get a better understanding of our clients and what they want? Remember, don't forget to download the Architecture Business Blueprint, the step-by-step formula to freedom for architects, architectural technologists and architectural designers. You can grab the blueprint without any charge at architecturebusinessclub.com/blueprint. And if you're enjoying this episode, then please leave a 5-star review or rating wherever you listen to podcasts. Now back to the show.
Yeah, so you can just ask them. And I know that sounds like really stupidly simple, but you can just ask them. You can ask them down the pub. You can ask them when people are just talking to you. You and I have spoken in the local micro pub and talking about things, and we realised we had this connection and this is where this opportunity came from. So you just never know who you sat next to and what they're dealing with. And I think everybody knows someone who will need an architect at some point. So, you can start having those conversations for sure.
Yeah, I think, that's so true, isn't it? Everybody's got to live somewhere, and a lot of people live in a property that they own, or maybe they have a business and have a building that might need renovating or replacing or something. So there's probably all sorts of, there's all sorts of opportunities there if you're having those conversations and letting people know about what you do. And I guess being curious and kind of asking questions, maybe reaching out to, if you've got a list of past clients that you've worked with, if you want to get a better understanding, that's a great place to start by asking them, isn't it? To say,
absolutely.
We're following up, we're just trying to learn a little bit more about what your questions were that you had in your mind, and what did you really value about what we did for you?
Oh, yeah. I love that. And if you can get those kind of testimonials, not just like, oh, John's great, John's brilliant, it was great working with him. They're kind of a little bit more vanilla testimonials now. If you can kind of get the whole snapshot of what told you needed an expert, like at what point did you want to reach out? What problem did you have? What things were you saying in your head? How was it working with us? What can you do now that you couldn't do before? What's the result that we got together? Did we get that faster, quicker? Was it easier? You know, like if someone was on the fence, what would you tell them? You know, and then capture that whole experience piece, and you can just do you can chop that up. You can get that out. You can start putting links together with lots of these where you can just send people, here's a load of stuff that we did for people. And especially if like on here, say we crop this thumbnail, you could put, you know, like for example, for my clients, like John made 5K months in 3 months or less. You know, it's super compelling what the result is. So, you know, got planning permission within X amount of months. And I know there's variables in this industry, but if you can demonstrate that you can get people through a process quicker or easier or with less guesswork, that's ultimately what they're looking for. So we have to plug that into our marketing. And the best way to get that value out is to get the client to say it. It's all good and well you typing it, and then the next layer to that is them typing it. But if you can get a video of them saying that, that's like where the magic happens. There's so many stats about conversion. So again, you might be thinking, well, people don't want to go on and proclaim that they were struggling or they needed help or whatever. It's just a thought that you've got. You need to actually ask your clients. You ask enough people. And again, it's how you frame this of like, I could really do with your help. I want to reach more people. You've had a great experience. We want to really get across how it's been. And I think you'd come across great if we did a short video. Would you be open to helping us? You know, you can just name your name there, or maybe they've got a business. You can put your business name on it, you know, give them a little bit of something back. But generally speaking, they're happy to help. They want to help. If someone messaged me and said, oh, I need your help, Helen, I suppose you could like do a little thing. Oh, it's like a nice little ego rub that someone's thought of you. So like most people are generally happy to give a testimonial. Just very rarely do people ask. So that's the other way around. More people are willing to give, less people ask. So ask.
I think it's okay to ask a little bit more often than you might feel comfortable, because often that, even generally speaking, I would say this probably goes for most service business owners, and particularly with architects, that they might ask for a testimonial. If they ask at all, they might just ask once really timidly at the end of the project.
Yes.
And it's like, well, actually, might be one or two peak points throughout the project where that might be a nice time. Like maybe when you've just secured planning permission for that tricky site, maybe you've sent them a nice little gift or something as well to kind of celebrate getting planning permission. Now, wouldn't that be a great time to ask for a testimonial?
Yeah, when they're on a bit of a high and they've got that like really peak thing that they've been struggling with, that key milestone. And really video and photography is one of the best ways to capture this. And imagine that if someone comes onto your LinkedIn or onto your website and they've got all this like massive case study of all the things that you've got involved in and all this like milestones and hurdles that you've helped your clients with. And it feels like that you're going to be a safe bet, that you're going to help them get through that faster, the thing that they're really struggling to get their head around. I mean, that would have most people leaning in. So for sure, talking about the results you deliver, talking about how you do it, it's the thing that I see missing from most people's content. And that's the thing that really, if you look at it, your clients are searching for. So if someone said, well, go with so-and-so, they're great. The first thing you do is go and look at their website. You're going to have a look at their LinkedIn. You're going to have a look at their reviews. So it's that kind of stuff that we need to make sure that's bolstered as much as possible. The other thing you can do, it's just really simple stuff. You can go onto like LinkedIn and do a poll. I mean, I know lots of professional people that have second properties, that have investment properties, that need like an architect's expertise. And so thinking that your audience isn't there is going to be a problem. And that's usually one of the thoughts that causes you to back off and not be visible in the first place. But you can go and sort of ask people, what are you trying to achieve that you're struggling with? What's like hard right now? Like what are you running into? What would you like to do quicker, easier, better that you'd need an architect for? and like you do some polls and just start asking. But you get to ask the audience, like whether it's virtual or whether it's in person, like what are they struggling with? And then you just go and solve for that, either in content, in products, offerings. Like you're like, oh, that's what they're struggling with. That's how I need to position myself. I get to demonstrate how I help them through that process super quick and easy. That's what gets people leaning in a lot quicker, a lot faster.
That's a great idea. I would say with the poll thing, great idea to run polls. And the key, I guess, with anything like that or any content it's in the follow-up, isn't it? That, that once people respond to that, if they take part in that, then you've got a list of people that you can then follow up with according to how they've responded.
Yeah.
And the idea about the video testimonials, brilliant idea. And I imagine there might be some people listening thinking, well, Helen, that's a great idea, but I can't afford a videographer and this, that, and the other. And actually, the videos don't need to be anything fancy. Like I've seen some really impactful video testimonials for businesses, and it's literally just like the clients recorded it either on the smartphone or it's just been a snippet from a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
And actually, there's a way that you can do that. Sometimes if you just reach out and say, can we get a testimonial? Okay, some clients will do that, but others might be a bit, I'm busy or not too sure. There's another way that you can kind of reframe that ask. Yeah. Something that I've done is that I've reached out to say, look, we'd like to get some feedback. Would you be willing to hop on a Zoom call for like 20 minutes or something? And what you can do is you can basically include the ask for the video testimonial on that call. So when you're asking them the questions about, just remind us, what was it that you were really struggling with, and what did you find particularly valuable about what we did for you? You can ask those questions as part of this getting feedback. And then if you ask for permission and you record that Zoom meeting, you can then say, well, look, this has been so great. Thanks so much for all that amazing feedback. Would you mind if we took a couple of snippets out of this to use as a testimonial on our website? Yeah. And because they've then already recorded it, it's far easier for them to say yes to it than just getting a cold email invite saying, can you record a video for us? And we don't really know what to say and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So
I've done that before on a webinar, actually. I was doing a teaching webinar and someone came on and it was unsolicited. I did not set this up at all. Yeah. But she said, like, this has been super helpful. And can I just say, I've just booked a call with Helen. I've signed up. And the call went like this. So if anyone's thinking of booking a call, like what Helen's just said, genuinely, that's how I've experienced it. So, and I just thought, oh my God, what amazing soundbite. So I cropped it. I'm saying I did it. My person did it because I don't know how to do that. But then sent it to her and just said this bit, and we blurred everybody else out. And we said this bit was just gold. Can I use it? And she was like, oh my God, use it. Like just share it with as many people, because I want more people to have the experience. And she said, I think a lot of people hold back from booking a call with you because they don't feel ready, or they don't think it's like, Helen's a salesperson, I'm going to get sold to here. That's not how you run a permission-based sales call. So she said, I wanted to tell people what it was like because I want more people to get to that stuff, that good stuff that you helped me with. So generally speaking, people want to help you. And so crop that video and sent it out, and other people have booked a call. And I think that has got to have compounded that for sure. Like for sure. So the things that we care about, like how we look, I often think, I can't go live, my hair's greasy. I really think about my face and my hair and everything. And people have said to me, like, it's like, don't really care what you look like. We don't notice if you've got your hair tied back or not, if it's greasy. We're more interested in what insight, when you pop up live, we're like, oh, Helen, what she's got to say. So then they're not thinking the same stuff that you are. And so it's very much like an us thing that. I've got a lady in my network and she's in construction, and she just does videos of her at site in a high vis, just going, just knock this building down, and it'll snap. And she's like, this is what we put up, and obviously there's a time lapse. And sometimes she's done a recording where she's time lapsed and you can see them digging out, excavating, putting foundations in, building it, and then it's finished. So you can get super creative with this. And she's just doing everything on an iPhone. Like some of her videos are just iPhone of her at site, just like that.
Oh, people love stuff like that. It's so authentic,
so
isn't it?
real. Like, 'cause it's real. And actually she did one and got her boot stuck in the mud and she just carried on going with it because she was like, this is what we're dealing with. A waterlogged site, just lost a shoe, and she went back and it was in the mud. And she said, but we keep going. And that's like one of the things that you get when you work with me. And I thought, this is just bloody brilliant because it's real. Whereas most people would have been like, right, stop, cut, start again. It just get it out in its rawest format. It's the most real. When you try and market stuff up, that's when it loses the edge. That's when it loses its meaning. It loses the whole point of what you were trying to do. So just like get it out as raw as it comes, because that's what your audience want to see. They don't want to see something manufactured and polished because it's not relatable. It's not believable.
Yeah, I totally agree. Helen, we could do with wrapping things up now, I think. So what would be the main thing that you'd like everyone to take away from our conversation today?
Do not hold back. When you're holding back, whether it's about being visible, whether it's like doing the thing, posting, asking the question, ringing the client, that's what keeps you unpaid. That's what keeps the diary sparse. Do the thing that you're most scared of, because when you're holding back, it's actually not very customer centric. It's you. It's like self-centered because you just don't want to feel something. Usually it's discomfort of some sort. So feel that discomfort, sit in it for longer, and go and do the things that you know you should be doing. Because this isn't all rocket science. If you ask someone to write down, what do I need to be doing? Speak to more people, invite them to stuff, do more quotes. You know what you need to be doing. So it's over to you guys now. It's like time for some action. Scenes going like literally take action.
Great advice. Was there anything else you wanted to add that we haven't already covered about the topic? I mean,
I think we've covered a lot. Yeah, we
have covered a lot.
Yeah, I think value and result, like that's key. If that's not in your marketing, go and put that in.
I love that. Yeah, value and result. Yeah, make sure that we're sharing those in our marketing.
Front and centre. Yeah.
I like to ask a question to all of the guests. And it's nothing to do with the topic. It's about travel. I love to travel and to discover new places. And I wondered if you could just tell me about one of your favourite places and what you love about it.
Yeah, sure. So we actually go every year, a couple of times a year, to Cape Verde. And we go to the island of Sal. And it was quite new to us. We didn't really know about it. About 7 years ago, we've been going like a couple of times every year. I actually feel a bit sick because we were going to look at buying something and we just didn't have the appetite for that risk of buying a property or getting a loan or anything. But I really kick myself now because it's getting more commercialised, and now there's like a 1 or a 2 in front of like the property prices, whereas we could have got a small loan and bought a small holding out there, and now it's just exponentially gone up. But yeah, I like it because it's quiet. I like it because it's like Tenerife was 40, 50 years ago when it first started. It's got the heat, it's got the sun all the time. It's very, very consistent weather. So that's what I like.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Yeah. Helen, this has been absolutely fantastic. You shared so much value. Really appreciate you being a guest on the show. Where's the best place for people to find you online? Yeah,
sure. So in the online world, it'd be LinkedIn. And there's probably a link, isn't there, that,
Yeah, I can put a link in the show notes.
Yeah. If you're not on LinkedIn, then you can join my mailing list where twice a week I send out tips about how to sell better. And they're all designed to be consumed in about 3 minutes in action. So like highly actionable stuff. And again, there's a link for that there. So LinkedIn, if you're not on that platform, the mailing list.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Next time, wear your party hat as we'll be celebrating Architecture Business Club's 1 year anniversary. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Architecture Business Club. If you liked this episode, think other people might enjoy it, or just want to show your support for the show, then please leave a glowing 5-star review or rating wherever you listen to podcasts. It would mean so much to me and makes it easier for new listeners to discover the show. And if you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss another episode. If you want to connect with me, you can do that on most social media platforms. Just search for @Mr. John Clayton. The best place to connect with me online, though, is on LinkedIn. You can find a link to my profile in the show notes. Remember, running your architecture business doesn't have to be hard, and you don't need to do it alone. This is Architecture Business Club.